many of you in the tribe, I spent the weekend thinking, well, it's almost too good to be true. What's happened in the UK and Ireland is regarding the restrictions. It's almost too good to be true, right? And let me see if I can get this better. And what? Hold on. And what? There we go. Kind of. And what is the next cat they're going to pull out of the bag? Because we know what they're like, okay? We know how they behave. We know we're in the tribe, and we abstained from needlecraft because we know that they're all pathological liars and they're all quite mentally ill, many of them. And that's a useful thing. And I've been anxious over the weekend, thinking about it. Up all hours, all night, very restless, thinking about it. And I said, we'll find out Monday morning. Because Monday morning, they'll probably whip out something that's like, you got your restrictions, but it didn't happen. It's full steam ahead. Now, for opening up. Now, this mainly relates to people in the UK and Ireland who are on the tribe and who have refused the needlecraft for ourselves, and that it doesn't apply to people in this part of the world, UK and Ireland, who've taken the needlecraft because they have entered into a very different future than we have. So our timeline, our future, this is for us. I would say that it's legit. They've thrown the towel in, not out of defeat, but because of madness. Now, let me explain to you how I came to this conclusion. You know the way I do every Monday night. Not tonight, we're showing the Roberto Calvi film tonight. But every Monday night, I do the psychic weather on The Week and Strange on Beyond Room 313 channel. Now, there was a psychic weather forecast. It's something I've been working on since I've been probably in my early 20s. And it was based on observational. Because of my life was kind of unique, I started out working in very low-end blue-collared work jobs. Building sites, painting houses. I mean, they were good jobs, though. There's nothing wrong with them. But I mean, that's in terms of how our society thinks. Kitchen dishwashers. And I worked my way up to, investment banking as a communications consultant on Wall Street. I was able to see the full, and I also played music and stuff like that in between, and travelled a fair bit. I was able to see the full gambit of humanity and realised that basically it's just like Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung said, that the archetypes are maintained throughout Western society, more or less. And that's absolutely true. So you will get the same archetypes in the trading floor of JP Morgan that you will get in a building site in London. You will get the same archetypes. And the most useful of all these archetypes are the Renfields and the people who are psychologically unhinged. Borderlines are very useful. The reason for this is their mental illness is a symbol of in many ways, their consciousness being disconnected from the current space-time entanglement. Now, I'm going to go into places here that you might find like out there, but trust me, I've been doing this all my life. It's real. In fact, a lot of magic is based on the removal of one's consciousness and cognition from this densely packed quantum foam that's the underlying structure of this very dense reality, this realm we live in. So they break through. Now, the pathological versions of them in the psychiatric sense, we're talking about the nasty ones that wouldn't be necessarily psychopathic, but say borderline females, troublemakers, shit stirrers, people who've been turned into psychosis by heavy use of cannabis, particularly, very good one, or alcohol. Cannabis is a very good one because it causes psychosis and mental illness almost immediately in people who smoke too much of it. And they can't escape. They fall into, well, they can't escape, but they fall into it. But the ones who, if you find individuals who smoke weed, who are unhinged, you're really doing well, because you have the ultimate canary in a coal mine to read the future, because they exist way in the future. Now, for a while now, I've been using these macro entangled servitors, avatars, Renfields, canaries in the coal mine that have produced 100% accuracy. And they're like the elephants and the animals in Asia who ran to the mountains when the tsunami was coming in, because they are not quantum entangled due to the shock to their cognition by mental illness, prescription drugs, overuse of cannabis, etc. And they tell you what's coming down the road. Now, the core sample of specimens that I'm using are about 18 months in the future. Until this point, they have hit 100% in terms of what's coming. So I was able to determine that they were quantum and coupled with the administrations of the countries they live in. So and individuals in those countries, citizens of the UK and Ireland, and they're quantum entangled with the governments of those, and the zeitgeist and the cultural, what's coming down the road, the cultural noxious gases, because they're pathological, they flare up the disruptive stuff, the difficult, challenging stuff, and then they go dormant when when there's nothing coming down the line. They've been dormant now for about 18 months, although they had reflected as above, so below, almost identically, 18 months prior to what happened with the scamdemic as it unfolded. So they're extremely accurate. They showed me exactly what happens with these paths. Anyone who's ever had a relationship with borderline, they will be extremely dysfunctional, vicious, hateful, and then it goes off, it just switches off. They don't have the lingering urge to destroy like a narcissistic or a psychopathic individual does. They just switch off on that pathological tangent that they're on. And you're like, what? They wanted to kill me yesterday, now it's okay. So it's like, that's what they're like, okay? Britain and Ireland are out of the lockdowns, the mandatory jabs, the law. It's coming, we're going back to normal. And I could be wrong on this, but in terms of me, if I was to take my money to the bank on it, that's what I'd bet on. Now, that's not to say there aren't other things at the global level, such as trouble with Russia and so on, coming down. That's a different thing. I'm talking specifically in terms of the pandemic, the lockdowns, the jabs, all that stuff. It's over. It's over for us in Britain and Ireland. Now, why I was particularly anxious this weekend over it, like so many of us, like, well, what hat are they going to pull out the bag? Is where we're like, you have to remember, we're in a situation of bullied people. We're like abused spouses, and we're like, it's over, but we're still like, those of us who are going, I'm just waiting for them to jack up the case numbers and put us in lockdown again. And I'm not saying it won't happen, but as far as I'm concerned, it's not going to happen. That's all over. We are like battered white housewives, waiting for him to come back after he stopped beating you. But he's left. And we still have that we've been abused. You have to remember, we have been abused like a battered spouse by government for the last 22 months. And we're in a state of post-traumatic stress of we're like or like this inside. But it's over, they're gone. And we have to accept that they're gone, because that way we can plan for the future. Now, the reason why I was restless over the weekend was the colossal disparity, this change in circumstances between, say, Ireland and Quebec, Britain and Italy. In Italy, Tina was saying that you still go down, it's still no jab, no job. And when you go down to get the jab, they have a form saying you did this by mutual consent. Now, this is mental illness. You have to remember, our politicians, our mass media, our administration, and our healthcare service and scientific institutions went into mental illness in the last 22 months. This is what the TikTok dancing is about. Boris Johnson is showing this very much. And they went into mental illness. And all this is mental illness, and this will pass. And so, just like I was telling everybody here in Ireland and my friends in England, just wait till the spring. We'll have at least clarity. Hold out. If you're in the NHS or the HSE, and it's basically a thing of like, get the jobs or you lose your job. Hold out. I've been telling people, hold out. Wait. I know it's terrible what they're doing to you, but hold out. Just wait. And those people, they've held out. What we held. And I also, Corona will lose its shine by April 9. But I didn't say what year. I was specific. I said April 9. It's happening here now. And it's gone. By April 9, it won't be coming back. And it'll be before then. I'm telling you. We might have, of course, you're born into a prison and your life will be in a struggle. But that's not how you live your life. You live your life according to the beautiful and wonderful things that happened when you fell in love, was in a band, had a great vacation, had the happiness your children brought you. But this is a problem with the truthers, and that's why I'm staying off Telegram. It's very toxic, and all those other sites. They are the way they are because they have a Christian psychosis of salvation. That one day the world is going to be utopia and everything will be perfect. No, we've been born into, the Gnostics are right and the Cathars are right. We've been born to a prison. But along the way, make life as, well, the Gnostics didn't like that, I don't like it. But the Cathars were, as long as there's wine, love, happiness and good food, make the most of this prison here. So there's no utopia though. It's a constant progression of humanity fighting this alien force on this planet that produces psychopathic situations that we're launched into by powerful human beings. Whatever the secret unknowns are, I don't even know if they're human at this point, but this is the deal, okay? We may have signed up for this due to karma on living on another planet or lifetime. Now, and some of us have it way easier than others, and if you have it easy and you have a roof over your head and people you care about love you, you're not doing too bad, okay? Now, so they're collapsed into mental illness. Now, the British and Irish ones just gave up. And they just like the Renfield Canaries. It's exactly how it happened with them. Watching how their behaviour around other people and stuff like that, they just petered away. There's a sudden stop. A little bit of things now and again, like we had quite a bit of a rise today, but it won't go anywhere. It won't result in any more lockdowns. It won't result. Not that I can tell. Now, if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to stand here and say, look, I was wrong. But going by a methodology that I've been using for about two and a half decades, this is what I'm predicting and how I'm living my life going forward. The international travel things will be removed. The WHO even said it yesterday, and so it's go for the good news rather than saying I still have to wear the mask. That's a very infantile Christian mentality of wanting salvation instantaneously. Now, so we didn't win a battle. We waited for the mentally ill to burn themselves out, and that's what's happened in the UK and Ireland. It's still going on in Scotland and Wales to a bit, but in England and Ireland, they've burnt themselves out. Now, of course, you have situations. Jacinta Ardern made up a story that she had to cancel her wedding because of the COVID spikes. That's mental illness. she's done as well. If you look at photographs of her now, you can see she looks like the kind of person that should be in a straitjacket, bobbing back and forth. Dan Andrews has lost his shine. Biden, for Christ's sake, and Macron looks more and more mentally ill by the day, overtly. And when they're mentally ill, they will self-destruct. And what we're saying, the whole substructure foundation of bureaucracy in all these nations in the West is broken. It's mentally ill and falling apart. And so that's my prediction. It's over. I was, the reason why we're saying I'm waiting for him to pull something out of the bag and lock us down again is because give yourself a break. You are an abused, bullied person who's been abused and bullied by government. You really have. And if you, at those of you women or men who are in abusive situations, you will find, oh God, that's just how I behaved after he left or after she left. For months after, I was like waiting for the next slap or the sound of the front door being open and his footsteps coming through. That's what it's like for us. Give yourself a break. We've been bullied into submission and bullied into post-traumatic stress. But I think we're okay in terms of the whole lockdown, whole jab thing. It's over. Now, there's people who've taken the jab of their kids. There's a whole other story there regarding the sudden deaths and everything. But that's for the world and them to deal with. Those of us in the tribes, we have our own trajectory. And this is it. So give yourself a break. I can't see any reason why we're going back in. Italy, Quebec, Victoria, New Zealand, Austria, Germany. You'll be with us soon. It's coming. Canada, it's coming. You'll be with us soon. Your governments are just probably more mentally ill, and I think it might have to do with the fact that, particularly in Australia, Victoria, and Canada, you're newer nations, you're newer cultures, and you don't have the same experience that, say, European nations have had. Now, there's things like ultra complicity in places like Austria, and I also don't, and I don't believe these stories that there's a 98% uptake in needlecraft in Ireland. I don't believe that anymore. That because yesterday they all came out of the woodwork, and it was very interesting. It wasn't like, yeah, we're free. It's like, it's just acceptance. So that would be the theme for this video. According to my methodologies in using the occult, we're in the clear in regarding the scamdemic, the lockdown, the jabs and everything. So, try to get away, and it's totally understandable, of the battered housewife waiting for the knock on the door when he comes back drunk. He's gone for good. And the word of the day and the word going forward is acceptance.